a Merrill Moss Media production. Today we are very happy to introduce New York Times bestselling author Lenora Worth. Today she's talking about her latest Harlequin love-inspired release, Truth and Consequences. We have her right here. Thank you so much for joining us today, Lenora. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. So we're going to get down to business, but before we jump into my questions, I just wanted to hear from you a little background on Truth and Consequences, just to bring us up to speed for those who haven't read yet.
Okay. Well, this is part of a continuity series for Harlequin's love-inspired suspense, and this is actually the second book in the series. The first book was Terry Reid, and hers is Protect and Serve. Right. And then there'll be 4 others after mine, and they are written by some wonderful authors: Dana Mintek, Lynette Easton, Shirley McCoy, and Valerie Hansen. Those are some of the favorite love-inspired writers. So I was really honored to be a part of this group, and we really enjoy doing the continuities because the readers love them, and we love working with the canine stories. That's one reason I love this one. I enjoyed the dog.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a hard worker.
Yeah. Now, when did you first get, involved with the Harlequin love-inspired line? Did they approach you? Like, how did that all begin?
I actually started with Love Inspired from the very beginning. I was approached in 1996, which you're probably even too young to remember that. But
no, I remember.
I had always wanted to write more sweeter, traditional type stories. And Harlequin was opening up this new line, Love Inspired. At that time, they called it Steeple Hill. And my agent at the time knew that I was leaning more toward traditional, and she heard about this new line, and so she set me up with the then editor at a conference in Dallas, and I was so nervous. I took in a pitch on a piece of paper, and she just took it from me and read it and said, "Send me the rest." So I sent the first book, and that was a contemporary love-inspired, not suspense. So I've been writing for them. Next year will be my 20th year, and I've written, probably 60 books for them. So for them and for Harlequin. I also write for Super Romance too.
Yeah.
So that's been a part of my life for over 20 years. So
that's amazing. 60 titles. That's amazing. Now, what's the best part about writing for Love Inspired in particular? I know you've written for Harlequin. So what do you think?
What I love about writing for Love Inspired is we do share a faith element, but we don't preach to people. We just like to tell a good love story. And the thing that we like is that our readers, it starts with like a woman my age, a mother, or well, I'm actually old enough to be a grandmother, but a mother, and she might give it to her teenage daughter, and then they'll pass it on to grandmama, and even great-grandmama. So we have generations of women reading our books from young to old. And it's the type of book that a teenager can read, and we appreciate that. And I just enjoy being able to share happy endings and good stories with our readers. That's the most important thing. No matter what you write, you want to make your readers happy.
Right, exactly.
So we have a very loyal following.
Yeah, very loyal fan base. Now, would you call yourself a plotter or a pantser when it comes to?
I'm a pantser.
Nice.
Yeah, sometimes I back myself into a corner, and we have to get me out, or we have to get my characters out. But I'm kind of a little of both. I'll be kind of just see where the story's going, and then once I know where I want to take the story, I'll go back and plot a little more, or go back and start over. And now that I've gotten to know the characters better, I'll go back and fill in the blanks and try to make everything stronger. But now, I definitely like to be a pantster.
Yeah, it's more exciting, I think.
Yes.
You never know what's going to happen. Now, the cover's adorable. It has a dog, which you don't see on Harlequins a lot, but the Love Inspired, they always have really nice, wholesome covers. Do you have any pets that inspire the Rookie Canine unit? Do you have dogs or any?
I don't have any pets now. We had a cat named Cujo, but she passed away. She was 17 years old and she passed away. But Now, my daughter has a dog named Luna, and Luna kind of reminded me of this dog because
Yeah.
Luna has a little bit of a hunting dog in her. And in fact, there's a companion novella that will be out this Christmas that I wrote that goes with this same setting. And the dog in that book will be named Luna. And but this is the dog in the canine officer dog in this book is his name is Hunter, and he's very loyal and he's very good at what he does. He can track down drugs, and so it was amazing when I was doing research what these animals can do, and they really are true officers, and they're very devoted to their partners. So that's part of the fun of writing this type of book.
Yeah, that was kind of my next question, was the research that goes into just the canine units, the police. What did you kind of find out? Was there anything really surprising that you found out along the way?
Well, there's a lot. I've read a lot of books on the subject. I follow a lot of police blogs about the subject. Watch it on TV a lot. There's a really good show on one of the it's either National Geographic or one of the other channels that actually shows canine cops at work. And the amazing thing is how if you train, they're each trained, sometimes they're trained individually for certain things. Like in my case, Hunter he could detect drugs, but they can smell scents of any kind. And some are trained to find rescue people or find deceased people. So it's just amazing that they are so smart and they're so loyal, and really all they want is to play with their toy when they're finished. And they will work so hard, and then you give them a play toy and that's their reward, and they don't even know what a wonderful thing they did. So that's about the most amazing thing. There's so many wonderful stories out there, and all of us who write these stories, we really appreciate canine officers, both human and the four-legged kind. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes they're overlooked a little bit, for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, your characters, David and Whitney, would you say that they're composed of parts of yourself, or are they someone else entirely? Is it, imagination?
They are, first of all, I'm not that brave, so I know that I could never be. Whitney was my first female officer, so it was different for me, and I tried to make her strong, but I also wanted her to still be feminine, and that was a little bit of a challenge. And then David is a medic who's just gotten back from the Middle East, and he's seen a lot and had to go through a lot. So he really was searching for, I think, some forgiveness, and because he couldn't save everybody that he came in contact with. And his protective instincts really kicked in with her, and that was part of the challenge between the two. How does a strong man take care of a woman who is also very strong and can take care of herself? That was the question throughout the book.
And I thought it was...
But no, none of that came from me.
It works either way, Very convincing. What convinced you to create him as a former Army medic? I think that's a really unique position. You have the romances with the fire.
It is unique, and
cowboys. But I
know it's very. I do too, and he's a different type of cowboy. What happens with the continuities is our editor comes up with an overview, and she gives us ideas for characters, and so he was given to me, and when I knew that I was going to be writing about an Army medic, of course I did a lot of research and read up on it. And a medic is like a physician's assistant. They can't do everything that a doctor can do, but when they're in the heat of battle, sometimes they have to make tough decisions. And so I really wanted to portray him as someone who always does the right thing. And even though he was a medic, he wasn't formally a doctor, I wanted him to continue in civilian life, just doing what he was good at, which is saving people.
Right.
And so I try to portray that in the book without going too much into detail with the medical procedure, but letting letting the reader know that he was a very caring, very conscientious type person. And so medics have a hard job.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did not know this until I did research. When a medic is traveling, is embedded with troops, they have a guard with them at all times, a person who protects them so that they can save and help everybody else, all the wounded warriors. And so I was impressed with that. You learn a lot when you write books like this, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of just research and overall, can you share a little bit more about your previous series that you worked on and kind of the characters in there and some of the things that you learned in your research?
Would you repeat that?
Oh, of course.
Repeat that for me, please.
Sure. Can you tell us a little bit more about your previous books, like in, your previous series titles and the types of characters and the research?
Yes, I write both love inspired and suspense. So I have a 4-book series that I'm really happy about. It's called The Men of Millbrook Lake. And what I wanted to do, and I don't know if it's ever been done with love inspired and love inspired suspense before, but I wanted to do 4 books and have one love inspired, then one suspense, and one love inspired and one suspense. But I wanted these 4 men to be friends. So I was able to do that. It's set in Florida, which I just moved here a few years ago. So I wanted to set some books in Florida. Yeah. But it starts out with one man who's a philanthropist, and he has to decide what he wants to do with his life. And then the next one is a suspense where the local police officer has to help a woman in jeopardy. The third one is about the minister in the book. He's a preacher, but he's more like a surfer dude type preacher and very laid back, very calm. And then the last one, the one that will be out in October, is really the reason I wrote all the books. His name happens to be Hunter too, just like the dog in this book, but I had already named him that when he first came into my head. And I kind of came up the whole series when I saw a man sitting in a bar staring off into the distance, and I thought, what's his story? And I
love that.
So I don't go on bars that often, but I was really intrigued by him and what he was doing. But so anyway, that's how those came about, and the readers seem to really like them so far, and I'm happy about that. The covers are beautiful, the titles are great. So I'm excited about, in fact, the next one will be out in June, and that's the preacher story. So Lakeside Sweetheart.
Yeah, you are a very busy lady.
Yes.
What are some things that you love to do when you're not writing? I know you're writing a lot.
I love to shop. I like shoe shopping. Have a lot of shoes. I like to go for long walks. I just finished a novella yesterday, so I went to the beach this morning, and I sat on the beach and read a little bit, which is a luxury for me because I am blessed to be very busy. So I like to bake and cook and simple things.
Do your shoes ever make it into your books?
Sometimes. Most of my heroines always have pretty shoes, and I've had a couple of books that were based on the Cinderella story loosely, so that's been fun. Yeah. And I've got another idea for a Cinderella story that I hope to do next year, maybe. So, but yeah, I try to always make sure my heroines have nice shoes because, shoes really are important to women. Men don't get this, but women understand it, and I want everybody to have pretty shoes. One of those small little frivolous things that we all need.
Only fair, right? Now, do you have a special writer space? I see all the books behind you. Do you work in one certain place?
Well, this is my new office. We just moved into this house about a month ago, so I don't even have pictures on the wall yet, but I do have my books behind me. But and there's books over on this wall, and so yes, this is my special space, I'd say. We previously lived on a bay, and I would sit on the screen porch sometimes and ride and watch the water and see the dolphins come by. And I didn't get as much work done because I'd sit staring at the water because it was so pretty. And now we're about a mile from the bay, and I like my new office. It's very sunny. I like a lot of light. I like to be able to see nature when I'm working. And so, yeah, this is a special place, and I'm going to get it organized eventually. And I like to sit outside on our patio. It's very nice out there. And I'm not one to go to a coffee shop and write. I've tried that before, and I can't relax. I get a little distracted, so I just need my own space.
Yeah,
that works for me.
Do you have any interesting habits or rituals that you do before, during, or after writing that you kind of always find yourself doing?
Well, I like to kind of settle in when I'm about to start something new. And of course, I always say a little prayer like, okay, help me write this book. And I like to have everything around me that I know I'll need for that book, any type of research or encouragement, maybe a special type of music, things that I've heard or seen, newspaper clippings. And when I'm sitting here in my office with my books around me and I'm ready to start a new title, I feel really, that's like, okay, this is me. This is what I do. I feel safe. I feel comfortable, and usually just ready to let the characters tell me what they want me to do next, which sometimes they don't cooperate, but most of the time we get it figured out.
Yeah, that's nice to have all your inspiration laid out around you.
Yes.
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 Always a new beginning.
That's right.
Do you do a lot of research for the setting of your books, or are they purely fictional?
It depends. With the Millbrook series, which were the 4 men who became friends, I got that idea almost immediately after we moved to Florida, but I actually got the idea, as I said, in a bar in Oklahoma City, because we had a friend who owned a biker bar. And as I said, I don't normally hang out in biker bars, but I had gone to Oklahoma City to do a workshop for a local writers group, and we wanted to go by and see my husband's friend, and that's when I got the idea for these 4 books. And that the guy was sitting on the patio, and he was just staring off into the distance, and then in the meantime, a biker pulled up with a little white poodle on his Harley Davidson bike, and I'm like, okay, there's a story in there somewhere, so I'm going to put the 2 together and see what I come up with. So yes, in the last book, book number 4, there'll actually be a 5th one that surprised all of us, but there will be a 5th one. I had to do a lot of research on Oklahoma and the oil and gas industry, because it involves that, and just the different Oklahoma's landscape is very different from Florida's landscape, but I wanted both to be included because he's from Oklahoma. And so that was important. So I did a good bit of research on that type thing, and because it's a suspense, I had to do a lot of technical research too.
Yeah.
So that's always fun. I think all writers love doing research because it lets us kind of procrastinate a little bit, and we don't have to actually write the book until we get all the research. But we never use everything that we research. But you learn a lot, and that's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Who are some of your favorite authors of all time that you always like?
Oh goodness, there's so many. I grew up in Georgia. I was born in Georgia, so Vivi, Gone with the Wind. That's one of my favorite, and
classic.
Yes, and then of course the original romance novels. Catherine E. Woodinwas and Rosemary Rogers, Lori McBlain. I'm saying all their names wrong, but those, when we were moving recently, I still have copies of those books, and they mean so much to me because that's when I started reading those, I knew I wanted to be a romance writer. I wasn't sure I could write as steamy as they do, but I knew I wanted to write that type of book with a happy ending. And of course, the classics, the Bronte sisters, Jane Austen, all of those type stories. Pat Conroy, Prince of Tides, one of my favorites. Love his books. Right. So many.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that you go back to them from time to time. Those are amazing classics. Who are some of some writers that, I don't know if you ever kind of collaborate with other writers, but Who are some people that give you really great advice, like that you kind of collaborate with in romance or any other genre?
Well, I've known a lot of writers. I first started when I knew I wanted to write romance. I had moved to Louisiana and I saw some writers in a mall signing. They were having a book signing, and I talked to them, and they told me, you need to come and join our local group. So I did, and those writers were Penny Richards, Sandra Canfield, and Susanna Davis, and Rosalind Alsobrook. These are some of the writers who've been around for a long, long time. They, unfortunately, Sandra and Susanna passed away, but they were my mentors back as far as 1986. So Penny is still writing today, and Rosalind still gives me advice and kind of reels me in when I'm being stupid or something like that. So I still depend on them a lot. And then I have a lot of new friends. That's one thing I love about being a writer. You make friends all over the world. And through social media, you can always find somebody who can talk you down when you're having a bad day.
Talk you out of
So that I really like that.
That's nice. Yeah, absolutely. What has writing kind of taught you about yourself? Have you kind of come to any realizations during your writing process?
I think the main thing it's taught me is that I can be strong. I can be firm. I can stand up for myself. I'm not quite as brave as a lot of my characters, but when you write it, it kind of becomes part of you, and you learn how to handle a lot of situations. You live vicariously sometimes through your characters, but I think the main thing it's taught me is that women can be strong and we can still be gentle, and that there are a lot of different emotions that women go through every day. And sometimes when I'm having a bad day, I say, now, what would one of my characters do? Would she stomp off and cry, or would she go have some chocolate, or would she just say, okay, we're going to get through this? And usually it's, okay, we're going to figure this out. We're going to get through this. So it's helped me a lot in that respect. And I think when you're a writer, if you have things from your past that you need to talk about or overcome, sometimes writing a story with those same emotions helps you to heal too. So that's important.
I think your characters would be like, I'm going to get through this and put on my best pair of shoes and stomp off into the sunset.
Yes.
Now, are you doing any upcoming conferences, book signings, anything in the upcoming months? Or just waiting?
Actually, in June the 11th, I'll be in Huntsville, Alabama at the Heart of Dixie Readers Luncheon, and I'm looking forward to that. I just got back from two really big conferences, the Romantic Times Conference in Las Vegas. I was there for a week, saw a lot of readers, had a lot of fun. And then we were home for a week, and then I went to the Barbara Vay Readers Appreciation Luncheon last weekend, and that was a lot of fun. I made a lot of new friends, talked to a lot of readers. So I'm going to stay home for a while until the Huntsville event, and then in the fall I'll be at the American Christian Fiction Writers Conference, which is wonderful, both for readers and writers. And then I'll be at the Novelist Inc. Conference, which is in St. Petersburg, Florida, in September. So going to rest this summer and then start back up in the fall.
That's great.
It's always fun to see other writers and readers. That's a lot of us are so introverted and it's very solitary, but when we do get out there with people, it rejuvenates us. We have to rest for about a week, but it rejuvenates us.
Yeah.
So we have fun.
Now, what do you want readers to take away from your stories, if you could just tell them like one little thing?
I just want to write a good love story, and I want the reader to, since most of our readers are women, we have a few men, I want them to feel like that they escaped everything in their life for just a couple of hours, and I want them to feel that there's always hope and that they can be strong too, and even if they don't have a happily ever after yet, I want them to be hopeful and realize that it might not be a fairy tale like we sometimes write in our books, but that through faith and love and hope, they can have that one day. It might not be in the way they thought or they dreamed about, but one day that can happen for them.
I love it. Perfect.
And also, if I want them to learn to be strong too.
Yeah.
Most, that women can be strong, as I said, and still be gentle and still do what women need to do.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Absolutely. Now, before we say goodbye, in case anyone came in and didn't hear, what are you working on next? Can you tell us like the next title that's coming out?
I am working on the 5th book of the Millbrook series, and this is the brother of one of the female characters, one of the heroines, and I did not expect to write his book, but he kind of went through a lot, and I thought, maybe he has a story to tell, and so I just finished the novella yesterday, and I'll start back on this one probably tomorrow. So,
yeah.
But I'm anxious to write his story because he's been through a lot, and he has 3 little children, and he really needs someone to help him. And the heroine's going to be a different kind of girl. She's actually a carpenter, so she builds houses, and she's not what he expected, and she wasn't what I expected either. So I'm looking forward to working on that story.
I love all of your characters' professions. They're the best. I just wanted to say thank you again for joining us, everyone. Lenora Worth, and her new book, Truth and Consequences, is out now. So grab it, you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.